Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying the new year. I know at this point we've already had a few episodes out in 2022, but we've just a couple of weeks in at this point. So we hope you're all doing well. Thank you again for coming into to another episode of Pick Up the Mic. And as you know, we always bring wonderful guests and wonderful topics. Now, the title, for today's episode is Wicked Solutions to Wicked Problems. And I think that's a great way to nicely lead us into the first question, which is always, getting our guest speakers to tell us a bit about themselves. And as I say, I know you guys are probably tired of hearing my voice, so I'll gladly pass over to our guest speaker. So if you could just tell us a bit about yourself and I guess a bit what key things our listeners should know about you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. So my name is Mandekh. I am a lecturer in the Bachelor's of Arts and Science degree of Global Challenges at Brunel University. I am a Somali Canadian. I was born and raised in the area of Toronto called Scarborough, which I'm really proud of. And this has shaped my personality. I was constantly stimulated to learn more and seek knowledge and embed everything that I do in justice. And I guess I have what I call a roller coaster journey of my roles. I started off in community development work. I found myself doing international development, crisis counseling, then primary care. And then I eventually was able to find a space where I could merge all of my interests, which is empowering individuals, communities to be able to make informed decisions, whether that is in higher education spaces, in community development spaces, or community activism spaces, or just generally I would like to know where the cheapest toilet paper is and knowing where to find that.
That is perfect, and I think all our listeners, especially uni students, can definitely agree. Knowing where those key deals are definitely is a lifesaver. Especially 2 years ago when toilet roll was basically on the low. But no, thank you for that introduction, and I think it's really key because as our listeners know, we always say that life takes you on a journey, and it's great to see from your description that you've had a wonderful journey, and we're looking forward, I guess, to seeing where next your journey takes you. But yeah, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, and we're now going to go on to our first official question.
Okay, thank you so much for that introduction, Mandekh. I just also wanted to say that yes, I graduated from BASC Global Challenges, and it was honestly a life-changing course. All the opportunities and the professors. Thank you so much, Mandekh. But now, just onto our second question. Would you just like to tell us a little bit more about the course, Global Challenges, BASC? What is it about?
So Global Challenges is an emerging and exciting subject area, which will challenge you to think differently about humanity's relationship in this sort of contemporary, messy world we're in. So in the degree, you have a chance to choose one of four specially curated pathways. So global innovation, planetary health, social cohesion, and security. And you do this alongside the core spine of the degree, which is the part that I teach on. So your learning and experience not only is unique, but is grounded in a way of ensuring that we have this transdisciplinary learning throughout. So your colleagues who might be studying in a different pathway feed into the core lessons, as do you, so we can continue to grow and learn together. It's really unique. Global Challenges at Brunel is one of the first undergraduate courses of its kind in the UK. It's an opportunity to allow you to switch between the sciences and non-scientific disciplines, but providing you with this sort of international, but as well local context to everything that we learn. It allows you to have this sort of full exposure of knowledge to challenges facing society at a global scale, but also at a local scale without any kind of restrictions. I'm also really excited about this degree because you're able to benefit with this strong links with community partners and industries that allow you to be able to truly contextualize, but understand what it is that you're learning, right? So it's not just theoretical, which I think for some of us, or at least for me when I studied, with this degree, you benefit from strong links with industry partners, your other lecturers within the program, but also your colleagues who are probably doing really cool stuff in their day-to-day lives. And this ability to be able to translate theory into practice, I think, is something that is incredibly valuable. I personally, in my undergraduate degree, had a difficult time reconciling with the theoretical notions and concepts that I was taught about international development, about community development, participatory development, and then going into the work sphere, like quote unquote real world, and realizing, bro, like nothing that I learned in my textbook actually applies in this setting, but how do I develop the skills to be able to respond to that appropriately and really jump back? And what Global Challenges allows you to do within the 3 years is have that space to be able to challenge yourself, be able to do activities throughout the 3 years that allows you to contextualize and make sense of the messy world that we live in, all of those wicked challenges that we face.
That was an amazing answer. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, so moving on to the next question. So you've told us a bit about, I guess, what Global Challenges is, specifically the course at Brunel, and why it's, I guess, very important. And, you know, I'm sure our listeners who may not be studying Global Challenges or might be looking to apply to university, for anyone listening, you know, there's a course right here that you could check out. But I guess moving on to our next question, we just want to know, why did you decide to become a lecturer in specializing in global challenges? You know, you highlighted before that there was, global challenge. The great thing about global challenges is it applies that real world knowledge, which I think a lot of students, myself included, sometimes felt that in some modules is a lot of theory, but then you never got to see the real world application. So I guess, why did you become a lecturer in global challenges is our question to you.
Thanks. It's a funny one, actually. I was at a point where I found myself really enjoying creating active learning environments. So I'd been working with teachers in Colombia, but also working with a couple of different organizations, curating environments where professionals were able to gain skills to be able to do their roles in more just, in more human-centered, grounded approaches. So I was just keen to find opportunities that would allow me to further that, explore, grow in those spaces. And I had a friend who had flagged the program to me, actually. And I remember like seeing it and thinking like, this is it. This is like what I've been trying to explain to others, right? You can't solve a wicked problem, whether it's famine or poverty or the climate crisis as a whole, with just one skill set or one approach, right? We need everybody's thinking hats on so that we can work together to solve this problem. And that's what Global Challenges stood out to me as doing. It created the structure that allowed learners to come together and say, like, you know what, I've got this idea. I've learned this in my pathway. I've learned this in my job elsewhere. Here's a valuable space where I can curate this. I think like the idea of higher education in a way that encourages unbounded seeking of knowledge and wisdoms in order to create innovation is something that's near and dear to my heart. I think this program created an opportunity for me to engage in a space that allowed me to work with individuals like colleagues, but also students who are committed to change in a variety of spaces and cultivate an environment that reflects the reality that we live in, right? Challenging of authority, challenging top-down approaches. So I've been with the team since January of 2020, and it's been a blast. I'm honored to witness such passion and drive from students, especially in spaces where I may not have engaged with as much. And it's not a course solely intended to produce individuals who like want to like quote unquote save others or help others or save the world or anything like that. But I think of it as like, as weird as it sounds, a petri dish of sorts. within the university. So people who have their own lived experiences, their wisdoms, their passions, who recognize that traditional models for change and thought aren't enough anymore. It's the what next space. And I think that is amazing. Sometimes it does lead to having really difficult conversations, especially when there's clashes. But at the same time, this is a test round of like what happens in professional spaces as well.
No, thank you, Mandekh. And I think, our listeners might not know this, but, you are you were Yashika's lecturer.
Right.
And, I've heard the wonderful things that she said that the Global Challenges course have taught her, and the amazing things that the knowledge and skills that she's gained from there. And I think it's really nice to see that even, I guess for students, sometimes we can feel that our lecturers, I guess, don't necessarily have that, lecturers might be listening now, might not be happy, but essentially, sometimes we as students, we feel that, lecturers might not necessarily relate to students or, want to give us, like you were saying, this idea of, again, repeating the idea that, there's no one solution. It's not, environmentalists fix climate change, energy people fix energy crisis. No, it's getting all these groups together and coming up with, this collective working together. And I think that's really key. And, even as groups of, like you were saying, of showing the different cultures that are there, even when it comes to things like whether it's policy or whether it's anything like that, we do need to have that collaboration of different views. So I think it's amazing to see that, a lecturer is able to share that journey with us. So thank you very much for that. And I'm now going to hand over to Yashika for our next question.
Yeah, Mandekh, thank you so much, obviously, for all your answers so far. I just wanted to say Global Challenges is an amazing course. Thank you for having me. Thank you for teaching me. And it was amazing, like everything that we've done, all the experiences, all the learning. We basically touched on all these different topics. And it was all about, becoming transdisciplinary as an individual. And I think all the skills that I've picked up are really helping me now in my professional career life. So I also wanted to ask a few questions about, like, why is it important for us to have these conversations, have these challenging conversations, and like not only in the professional realm, but also when we're still, in the higher education. Why is it important that we have these like transdisciplinary lessons and, go into these sort of topics? Why is it important?
Thanks, Ashika. I loved having you as a student. So why it's important to have challenging conversations? For me, I think, and this is why I'm so committed to this program, is because there isn't often the space for students at whatever part of the journey that they're in to be able to have that degree of confidence in speaking their mind in formal spaces that are traditionally exclude their wisdoms, right? So there's this like cultural sense, not even just in the university setting, but just in general. You think about high school, sixth form, primary school, where you were told like, so-and-so is the expert, your teacher knows everything, somebody else knows everything, and you are a sponge and you take in the information and that's it. And I think that's fundamentally wrong. There is knowledge and wisdom that I can impart and share, but simultaneously you're not, or students as a whole are not blank slates. They're human beings with experiences and knowledge. And I think it's important to be able to cultivate that, and challenging conversations are opportunities for us to be able to learn from one another, right? It's an opportunity to grow, and difficult in the sense that it's difficult because these spaces are not purposely curated to facilitate this, right? And sometimes it's about talking about very basic things like knowing how to communicate with a difficult like supervisor at work, or a difficult educator or a colleague or a classmate. And in global challenges, the topics are often really heavy. And especially when we're challenging the way in which they're framed. Like, I'm not here to romanticize anything. I'm not here to minimize experiences. We're being quite honest about the issues at hand. For me, what often drives the the way in which I engage in the classroom setting, and the way I think in which we can cultivate these spaces where it's truly transdisciplinary from all levels of learning, is the application of something called radical candor. And radical candor is a book by Kim Scott, if I'm not mistaken. Really fascinating book, because what it talks about is that we're challenging directly in the sense that we are challenging. It's not like the sort of like stabbing you in the front aggressive sort of approach, but radical candor really fundamentally goes towards challenging directly, but still showing that we care personally. Right? We can have these difficult conversations without having to make it about you as a person, or about thinking that I am superior to you for X, Y, and Z reason. Be saying that you have wisdoms that I cannot challenge. So how can I learn from that? Or how can I decide that, yes, you may have these experiences, I have a personal difference, but how can we start to see eye to eye to some degree, like having that value associated with each other? So yeah, it's important to have challenging conversations, or else we end up fortifying unhelpful structures of oppression, the biggest way possible.
Right, amazing. Thank you so much. I've already got that book in my Amazon cart, so thank you for that. And I think everyone should add it to their cart, listeners. But yeah, no, that's it's true. It's very true. I mean, and I noticed this like through our course, we would have these challenging conversations, and yes, the world is a bad place and blah blah, but having these conversations really puts everything into perspective. And I think as a student, it was really enlightening to see that, everyone, we're all in the same boat. We all feel the same way. And yeah, and I also agree with the way that you said with higher education, especially, I feel like you enter a lecture room and there's 200 students, there's one lecturer at the front, and they sort of talk at you and you don't really get to have a conversation. And so it was really, really refreshing to have that sort of space where I could speak freely with my colleagues and, everyone around us. So yeah, thank you so much about that. Yeah, thank you.